morning. So today's video is in association with a brand, but I've tried to leave it very subtle, you know. Don't worry if you can't work it out yet. It's not supposed to be clear. I don't want to give the game away as what's going on, but I'm sure it will become clear in time. I'm obviously just joking. Today's video is all about my Horsequest training bursary session with Sam Griffiths, which, if you haven't followed me for a while or you're not aware of what the Horsequest Bursary is, as it was only launched this year, may just be a bunch of words to you. Do not worry, I'm going to explain exactly what's going on when we're in the lorry on the way. We're heading off down to Dorset today, not for eventing, so I'm up before 6 AM, but there's no eventing. Basically, we're going to have a session with him, which is all going to be covered by Horsequest. They're going to be there taking photos and videos, which is basically every eventer's dream. And as you may know, I'm based up in Buckinghamshire, so we're not exactly next door neighbours. So we've got a little bit of a trek ahead of us. So let's get going. So I'm in the lorry with Mum, and we are heading to Sam Griffiths yard. We're on our way. It's quite a long journey for us, I think I said, so we've allowed about 3 hours. Hopefully we will be there in plenty of time. And I just thought I'd explain a little bit more about what the Horsequest Bursary is, because if you haven't been following me for a while or you're not familiar with Horsequest, then it's a bit of a weird concept that I'm just going for this random lesson with Horsequest. So basically, back in January of this year, Horsequest were looking to represent and support one rider from each of the sort of main disciplines: show jumping, dressage, eventing and showing for a year. It included some financial sort of investment, it included some actual tangible merchandise, like this lovely Horsequest top that I'm wearing now, and it also included a lesson with sort of a senior Horsequest ambassador. So for show jumping, I think it was William Funnell; for dressage it was Andrew Gold; and for eventing it was Sam Griffiths, which is obviously very exciting because he does not need any introduction. He's won badminton, he's came third at the Olympics, you know, he's, for an eventer, it's pretty exciting to be getting a lesson with him. So I still remember where I was when I found out that I'd actually won the 2020 bursary. I'd recently started vlogging, so I was enjoying sort of video editing and decided to apply, but I definitely didn't think I was going to get it. And I was sat in the lorry after a show jumping lesson when we got the phone call, and obviously it was very exciting. So originally this lesson was scheduled for April, but because of coronavirus and the lockdown, it was obviously cancelled. And the lovely Sarah from Horsequest has been brilliant at rearranging it as soon as we were out of lockdown, as soon as some restrictions were lifted. So I'm very excited to take you along, and I'm hoping that he's going to be on his best behaviour. How's this for a little bit of culture in today's vlog? That is Stonehenge. Really not in our own neck of the woods. So you can't say I don't treat you. Oh, I've lost it now. Don't know where Stonehenge has gone. We've just made a quick service station stop, pulled it off, managed to find one with Starbucks. We're leaving it, cutting it rather fine in the hopes that we might find one, and we have. Asty has travelled really well. He's actually quite warm. You can see if you look closely, his little veins are all up, but hopefully it's not too long left now, so hopefully he can cool down when we get out again. We've got the essentials and ready to go. Cheers.
That some people actually work out of nothing and some people have incredible facilities.
Because my lesson with Sam was so useful, I actually want to talk you through a couple of the exercises that I did so that you can take them away and try them yourself. So Atty came out quite behind the leg, as you can probably see here. He sometimes does on the flat, and my legs were working super hard. So the first thing that Sam did was basically bring me back to the middle of the arena and explain the first activity he wanted to do, which was basically giving Atty a bit of a squeeze, and if he didn't respond, giving him a good old-fashioned pony club kick, sending him off down the arena and opening up. And we only had to do that a couple of times before he suddenly became a lot more responsive to the leg.
Good, well done. Good, and then enough to stop him in another. Then slowing down again. Good, now speed him up. Good, but just a little squeeze. Good.
With this newfound sensitivity to my leg, we did some speed changes within each pace, so within the trot and within the canter, and he responded really well to this actually and was thinking about where he was placing his feet a lot more.
We do another circle for me, make it a bit smaller. You just need to be a bit slower, a bit slower. Good. And then go back onto the bigger circle. Now speed him up a little bit. Good, now slow him down. Good, now slow him down a bit more. Good, that's better. Good, now a little slow down. Good, yeah, very good. And then give me a little circle around the upright again. Good, another circle, just slow down. Whoa, whoa. Just slow down again. Another circle, a bit slower. Got to be a bit slower. Yeah, good. Now go large and speed up a little. Good, now slow down. Good, okay, back to the trot.
Next we moved on to do some poles in trot. They're actually set up as canter poles and would later go on to make the foundation of our bounce combination, but it was really good for Atty to think about the placement of his feet over poles that actually weren't quite right, and what Sam really wanted Atty to be doing was keeping his head still on the approach and going down the poles just as if he was in a dressage test. So that's what I had to work on, because Atty sees the poles, associates it with jumps and wants to stick his head in the air. So it actually took us a couple of attempts going over that to just get him really nice and relaxed when going over them. Now it was time to put into practice what we've been doing so far over the bounces, which really got Atty thinking about the placement of his feet. I was actually really pleased with how he responded to this, because he hasn't seen loads of bounces with me, so he actually locked on really quickly, got the idea, just popped down really sweetly. So as you can see, we then added fences to make it into a grid, spot the nice Horsequest filler in there. Now this is where Atty's in his element. He absolutely loves grid work, he gets so confident, and Sam basically has this rule where everything you do one way, you have to do the other way. So I did the whole thing backwards, which was definitely more challenging because Atty wanted to launch over the bounce at the end, but that was a really good exercise and something that I would never push myself to do. Next we added in some low wide oxers which really targeted Atty's back legs. As you can see here, he was picking them up. To finish off the session, we took everything we'd done so far together and made it into a sort of course with a couple of bigger fences as well. I'll leave in the whole raw unedited course here so you can see how I get on. I think Atty looked pretty good. And I just had to give you another angle of this line because Atty jumped down it so nicely. We finished off our session by talking through what I'd learnt and what I was going to take away from the day, and he also gave me some really good last minute tips for off church, which I shall talk through in the outro of this video. So I just thought I'd give you guys a quick update. We have stopped at the services on the way back after the lesson because, like I said on the way up, it's quite a long journey. Mum and I are both absolutely knackered after an early start, but the session was so good. It was so useful and I gleaned so much from it, and I'll tell you guys a little bit about that when we're home and when I'm not looking quite so sweaty. But I'm in my Horsequest socks, very on brand, and obviously my lovely Horsequest top. Yeah, I could honestly take a nap right now. I'm hoping that Mum's going to get some sweets or something from the garage to help wake me up because I'm drifting off and I'm trying to keep her company because I think if she could, she would drift off, but she's obviously driving so she can't. But a very good session, and I am so grateful for Horsequest for this opportunity, and obviously to Sam Griffiths for giving up his time as well. Okay, so it's the next day. It got really hot and muggy yesterday, and as a result, Mum and I were basically on the floor by the time we left Sam's yard. We were both absolutely knackered. So I decided to save the ending of this vlog for today when I've had a chance to recharge, but also to reflect a bit on what I learned. And I was just trying yesterday to stay awake and to keep Mum awake because she was driving the lorry, so obviously it's quite important that she stayed awake. So yesterday was obviously an amazing experience. I won't go into detail over all of the exercises too much because I've done a voiceover over everything I've done that you'll have seen. But I really do recommend, if you have a horse like Atty who doesn't always pick his feet up quite as much as you'd like, or isn't necessarily as bothered about the placement of his feet, try those exercises. They were all new for me, all things I hadn't done before, but I literally could feel a difference in the way that Atty was jumping. It was like I was on a different pony. It was more like riding Star, who really cares about where his feet are the whole time. So definitely give those a try. I'm going to be taking them away and using them with him on and on over and over again. So yeah, cannot recommend that enough. But I thought I'd just give you a little bit of an overview of the whole session and a bit of a rundown of my thoughts of everything that went on. So basically we arrived. Sam has a lovely yard, obviously. It was so nice to see Sarah and Chloe from Horsequest as well. And because of the sort of mugginess and the humid weather that came on quite quickly, Atty actually came out a little bit lazy and sluggish. I explained to Sam that the thing I really wanted to take away from the session was to get him being a little bit more careful with his feet, particularly his back feet, because at Tweezerdown, that's where he had the poles, and Sam was so good at adapting some exercises to help me focus on that as well. But before we even got onto that, the flatwork was a little bit tepid. It was not very special. I was having to work really hard to get him going off of my leg, as you may have seen. And so Sam was like, right, before we even start jumping, let's work on this flatwork, which was really useful because Atty can come out quite a lot flatwork, a little bit lazy. And if I'm jumping, I'm so guilty of just settling for that, because as soon as the jumps come out, he'll perk up and off we go. He's like, yeah, but you shouldn't wait until you get jumping. You should sort this out on the flat. So we did an exercise which was just getting him off the leg a little bit more. I haven't really done it before, but it's definitely something that I will take away and do again. We basically just give him a squeeze of your leg and get harder and harder. And if he doesn't respond, if he doesn't, you know, walk off or trot off, then you give him a nice big boot, a nice big pony club kick, and they tend to canter off, and you get off their back and you let them canter for the length of the score, give them a pat, bring them back, do it again. We only had to do that 2-3 times before Atty was like, right, I've got it. I've got the memo. So that was really useful, and I'll be using that. It just really helped to get him responsive, which was brilliant. We also did a lot of work on changes of speed within the pace, because Atty has a really nice natural rhythm. He just could trot all day at the same speed, which a lot of horses don't have. But as a result, he almost nods off a little bit. So again, before we started jumping, we worked on slow canters and fast canters and slower trots and faster trots, and that really helped. It was super useful. We then moved on to jumping and basically went straight into bounces, because that really got Atty thinking about his feet. It was really great. I'm guilty of not doing enough bounces because it's not something I particularly enjoy doing. So it's actually brilliant to do it, and I realised they're not as bad as I thought they were. They're actually a really fun and useful exercise, and it just got Atty thinking a little bit more. Stopped him from rushing off, because also sometimes when he warms up he can get a little bit rushy because he loves his jumping so much. So it was brilliant. And then we did some work on my position when we started jumping, because I'm guilty of really going forward, really like encouraging the horse, whereas actually I need to be a bit slow with my posture, sit back, especially when the fences are small. So that was really useful. Sam gave some brilliant analogies, like he spoke about cross country when you jump a big drop fence, how you would jump that, and I should think about jumping fences, you know, a little bit more like that. So it was really useful analogy, and it just instantly I was like, oh, of course. And I felt my position helped him to pick up his feet as well. So that was really useful. we did some low wide oxes, and the videos do not get across how wide these oxes were. Like, I really was like, oh my god, that's so wide. Like, I wasn't sure if Atti's gonna be able to do them, but that really got him moving over his back feet, so that was useful. Like, if you have a horse that tends to have poles with the back feet, low wide oxes, like wider than you think they should jump wide, so useful. Again, Atti just brilliant. And then we finished by popping around a little bit of a course, incorporating the bounce, incorporating a wider oxer, and Atti was on fire. There are some videos on my Instagram, and obviously there's videos in this vlog, so yeah, you guys will have seen he was jumping so nicely. So the final thing that I took away from the lesson was the importance when out competing of resetting my canter, which again, I'm a little bit guilty of just jumping the first few and then coming down to the last ones, and maybe you're going clear, you just want to finish, just like, yeah, let's go. Actually, no. Your canter might be running away a little bit. You need to imagine you're restarting the course, even if there's only 3 fences left, bring the canter back, settle down, and off you go. So I'm really hoping that this all helps on Saturday when I'm off to Off-Church Bury with Atti in the B100, and I'm so grateful to Sam for giving up his time to teach me, and for Horsequest for setting up this absolutely amazing opportunity. Mum and I are literally debating having regular lessons with Sam, even though he's 2.5 hours away. That would be such a trek, just because he was so good. So yeah, what an amazing opportunity. I'm still kind of in shock that I got it. It was amazing, and yeah, something that I'm so glad that I vlogged, because I can't wait to look back over this in years to come and be like, I had a lesson with Sam Griffiths and it was amazing. So thank you very much for watching this vlog. If you did like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you very soon, hopefully, fingers crossed, with a positive event update vlog. We'll see. Bye.